Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Michael McCarville, and this is VANCE Junction Series Part 3. So in Part 3, we're going to talk about the section car shed at VANCE Junction. So the structure you see in the lower left here in front of Galloping Goose number 7, that is the section car shed. I know, it's not very big. We're going to build it anyway. It sits in between the coaling pocket and the section house and cluster of railroad cars. So kind of all by its lonesome in the center of those two structures and right next to the tracks. So since it's a section car shed, then it's got two little doors on the front, and then it's just got the four walls, roof, and a floor piece. So the Banta Model Works kit 135 that we're going to use for this, we're going to use it, but it ships with the laser cut parts. That's the front of it with the doors closed. Now, they're not supposed to stay closed necessarily. I mean, you can cut them out and they'll probably fall out if I play with it too much. But what I want to do is I want to remove those, and I want to build the scratch build some doors and put on the front. Now, if you decide you want to build the kit as is, by all means, it's going to be much faster than what I'm going to do, because once I open it up, I have to start working on the inside of it. So there's a couple of things we're going to do. We're going to have to put supports around the walls, you know, basically studs. And we're going to take the walls that are laser cut on the outside and they're scribed. Well, we're going to have to replicate that on the inside. So we're going to scribe the inside. We're going to put some studs in there. The floor has space for some rails. So we're going to get a couple of sections of HO narrow gauge rail sections and put in inside those slots and have them stick out, because this structure is going to sit right next to the main line just like this one does. So also the roof, it's got some looks like 2 rolls of rollout asphalt tar paper. Originally it may have had a different kind of roofing, like some shingles or shake shingles or something. But I'm going to go ahead and put the later version on there so it looks like rolled asphalt shingles on top of it. So we've got the roof to do, we've got the outside walls to weather and paint, and we've got the interior to put, scribe the inside, put studs on the inside, and then the doors. When we open the doors, they're the thickness of the wall material, so we're going to make thinner doors for this. If you decide you want to skip all that and just do the 4 walls together and paint it, this would be a very quick project, but nothing I seem to do is a quick project. So that's our project, that's the scope. We're going to go ahead and get started on that now, so let's have some fun with this. Now I know I keep saying paint, but if you want to paint this structure to match some of the other structures in the area, that's fine. It looks to me like the structure's actually been kind of neglected, so I'm just going to weather it and assume that any of the paint has just kind of worn off, or it just was never painted to begin with. So in the photos, the wood looks pretty worn and it doesn't really look like it's been painted ever. So I'm going to go with that. Okay, as you can imagine, the instructions for this are very, very short. It's just this section here on the front page. It's the very first building that we're going to work off of this kit. It's not really much to the instructions, so the steps are pretty clear. So what they say is take a side wall and the back wall, glue those together, then glue the floor in place, then glue this side and this side in place, then put corner trim on the structure, and then glue the roof in place with some tissue paper that's provided in the kit. So I mean, that's it for this structure. So we're going to add a few steps just because I want to make this a bit more of a focal point instead of just a shed that sits out there. So I'm going to flip these pieces over, the 3 full walls, and I'm going to scribe the back section because the board's on the outside. I'm going to want visible on the inside. Then on the interior walls, I'm going to place a piece of material that runs down and simulates studs. So before I do that, after I scribe everything, I'm gonna stain everything. Then I'll start adding the studs. Now the wood that I'm going to use for that, I'm going to have to pick up on my own, so I'm not going to use any of the wood from the kit. So that's going to be something in addition. So let me go ahead and get the pieces scribed, stained, and then I'll start adding some of the support wall pieces in place, and we'll take a look at what that looks like. Once again, I want to thank the guys from the Cumberson Toltec Scenic Railroad website for allowing me to use the photos that I have, and please visit their site, check them out. There's a ton of really good Rio Grande Southern and Denver Rio Grande Western material there. So before I closed off the rest of the structure, I wanted to give a quick snapshot of what it looks like. So you can see that I went ahead and scribed the back side of the panels for the walls. They essentially look like the front sides. And once that was done, then I was able to wash everything with a coat of isopropyl alcohol and India ink. Real thin consistency. I actually went over it with 2 coats. When it dries, you might want to clamp some of the pieces together so that they don't warp too much, but they should straighten out mostly when you are done. So if not, then we'll go ahead and clamp everything really well as we're gluing it together to get them to line up in the corners. So anyway, the studs have been added, and then I added the top plate and the sill plate and doubled up the studs in the corner. I didn't use 2x4s, HO scale 2x4s. I used 3x4s just to make them stand out a little bit more, since they're going to be inside and kind of hard to see. Also, 2x4s is kind of a 20th century thing. A lot of the timbers that were used in the older construction were a little beefier than that. They weren't quite so cheap in used materials. Also, this structure is sitting up pretty high in the mountains. It's going to have a lot of snow piled up on it, so I'm kind of using that as justification for a little bit beefier timbers too. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and finish this structure, the front, put the front panel on, and finish the studs along the wall that is facing us, and then we'll start talking about the roofing. So the roof section is pretty simple. It's a folded piece of cardboard that comes in the kit. Fold it over. There's some roofing material. It's kind of like a tissue paper kind of material. Cut that into strips. I did about 4 or 5 feet HO scale, and just glued it on top. Once that's dry, I'll give it a coat of a paint and weathering to make it kind of look like rolled out asphalt shingles, and then that'll be done. Also on the structure, the corners needed some trim pieces. You remember the walls kind of went together in a jigsaw fashion. So to cover that up, those joints, I used some material. I actually used my own material for this. There's 1x4 in the kit. I used 1x6 just to get a little bit more broader size and make sure that the coverage was good on those angles. The 1x4 looked like it would work, but it was going to be kind of close. So rather than risk it, I just used 1x6. I also put a brace in here just to keep the 2 walls apart. No one's going to see that, and even if they did, I stained the underside of it, so everything looks good. Also, the sides, you'll notice, I hit it again with a little bit of India ink wash, and just concentrated it on a few spots just to get a little bit of weathering runoff down the sides. So we paint the roof, put that on, and then we're going to scratch build a couple of doors. Just 1x6s, again, same material, same basswood material, stained the same way as well. So I'm going to do a couple of slats for that. Normally we could probably use the doors that came with it, but they were a little thick and I wanted it to look a lot thinner when the doors were swung open. So I'm going to go ahead and scratch build a couple of doors on the front, probably 3 1x6s or so. And well, let's count how many boards we have up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.5. So I may go with a little bit thicker boards, maybe like 2x12s or something, and build doors out of that. So let me go ahead and throw this together, stain it, and then we'll talk about how we want to angle those doors. Okay, we're at the final assembly stage. Yay! Been waiting for this stage. So like we said, the doors here, I just threw some of those together. I did a simple 3 planks and then some braces. The braces are going to be on the inside. The outside are just plain. So the outside are actually going to face away. So I'm going to kind of angle them like that, open so you can see all the way inside, and doesn't detract from anything, but not out, you know, so it looks like the hinges are bent out or anything. So I'm going to glue those in place. The roof, that's done. I used a paint. I actually used a bunch of these. Let's see, which one was it? Engine grime. So Vallejo engine grime. So this is actually made for kind of military models and aircraft and that type of thing. So, but I like this color as a base coat for kind of tar paper, and then on top of that, lots of chalk dust, and then a dull coat to seal it. So that's how what the roof got colored as. I'll take some still shots. Oops. But you can see if I can angle this right. On the floor, there's kind of some greasy spots, and then as you are walking out of the car shed, you'll notice that they're consistently kind of dribble their way out. Again, back to Vallejo. I used a bunch of these. The engine grime is 73.815, but I also used 73.821 rust texture. I like this Vallejo paint. It really accents rust spots well, and just a couple tiny little drops on the floor of this structure. Also oil stains. Put a few of those spots down, and they stay shiny. They stay kind of oily looking. And petrol spills. Oil stains was 73.813. Petrol spills is 73.817. Again, it's a little bit different tone. It has kind of not quite of a cold oil color. There's almost like there's some fuel oil spilled in there. So it's got an interesting color. But again, lots of different stains on the floor. And remember, we had the doors that were too thick we didn't like. Well, I took one of them, I shaved it down just a little bit, and I extended the platform to come out. So when I go ahead and scenic this and put it next to the track, I'll stick a couple pieces of rail on either side, rust them up, and then I'll have an additional platform that sticks out, so it'll give a little bit more visual interest. So let me go ahead and take some stills while the roof's still off, while I still can. Glue the doors on, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the final close-up shots. Well, that's going to do it for this project. Section car shed is done. We're going to do the boxcar next, which is the one that's right to the left of the big 2-story structure, the section house. I want to thank the gentlemen from the Friends of the Cumberland Toltec Scenic Railroad for their photo support, and also if you're interested in that site or the Facebook group or the YouTube channel, I'm going to leave notes in the body of this video, so just look below, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks you guys for watching, and I hope this was helpful. Take care.